Exclusive contracted novel by Feilu Novel Network. The Great Wilderness and the Heavenly Sky. Clear awakening of the world, accepting thousands of realms Muchen traverses through the wilderness and becomes a heavenly system. Just keep admitting disciples, and you can prove your enlightenment and have your own body. In order to visit the heavens and dominate the floating dust, he had to personally forge Tong Tian into the holy master of the heavens at this point, Tong Tian, who was solely focused on accepting apprentices, seeking stability, and not getting involved in any major events, appeared.Yuanshi, Laozi. What are you doing staying in the cave every day? I don't know if seeking the Tao requires a great source of blessings, great fortune, and great perseverance. But what kind of ghost was the terrifying pressure that constantly brought us palpitations at that time? Hongjun. It's almost time to become a god. How come I haven't seen the figure of the heavenly sky yet? Not to mention taking an apprentice. How can I be so cunning about this? Seal you. Tong Tian said, in the wilderness. A group of frogs at the bottom of the well, take your time to play. I won't be with you anymore. The protagonists of the heavens and all realms, be our sons. No, be our disciples. In this way, Tong Tian takes the heavens as the foundation, intercepts the teachings of Qi Yun to run through all realms, and with the help of Mu Chen, specializes in practicing the mythical Dharma of the Great Luo on the spot. The past, present, and future blend together. Feilu Novel Network reminds you that this novel and its characters are purely fictional. If there are any similarities, they are purely coincidental and should not be imitated. Chapter 1. Am I a heavenly system? Cultivate various. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 1. Am I a heavenly system? Cultivate the holy masters of the heavens and prove the sovereignty of the heavens. Who am I? Where am I? What am I going to do? Suddenly waking up from the darkness, Mu Chen instinctively surveyed the surrounding environment. He was in a darkness, and in front of it, he could see a scene of birds singing and flowers fragrant, shrouded in clouds and mist, like a fairy's home. Normally, if he could see the scenery outside, the darkness around him should have an end. But in his subconscious, he knew clearly that the darkness was boundless. Sitting cross-legged in the air, Mu Chen sank his head with one hand and carefully recalled what he had done before. If he remembers correctly, he should have obtained a system and the system asked him if he wanted to traverse. In this world, Mu Chen, who is carefree and addicted to novels, naturally chooses to agree to it. Just agreed to the system, he was completely black in front of him, and then regained consciousness, and it turned into what it is now. System, come out here. Come on, I will definitely not kill you. Ding. The system is crashing, activate emergency plans, integrate the host. Ding. The fusion is complete, and the host and system are integrated. From this moment on, you will be the Hongmeng Holy Master System. Cultivating the only holy master in the heavens is your only task. As Mu Chen's words fell, a mechanical sound immediately rang out in the pitch-black space he was in. After finally sorting out the mechanical sound, Mu Chen lowered his head and glanced at it. Discovering that he is now a glowing humanoid object, it is more appropriate to say that he is a ghost than a human. Others travel, he also travels. Their system allows the host to enjoy delicious food and drink spicy food in a foreign world, to seize the quasi-saint and the saint. His family's system, starting with losing his body, was forced to integrate with the system. In order to have a real body, we need to assist the new host well. That is to say, he became the system of the traveler. It's numb. I've never seen someone so unreliable before. A burst of anger erupted in the system space, and Mu Chen accepted his fate. The wood is already a boat, and he is unwilling and can only act according to the rules of the system. He is responsible for the Hongmeng Holy Master System, and his job is to assist the host, recruit disciples in the vast world, and teach them. The disciple received by the host becomes stronger, and the host receives rewards. At the same time, he can also receive Hongmeng's original wish points to upgrade himself. The system has a total of 9 stages, and in the first stage, it has the level of strength equivalent to that of a sage in the wilderness. At the 9th stage, he will possess his true body, and his own strength will reach the level of the heavenly sovereign in one fell swoop. Bind the host and let the host take in the apprentices. Then, he came to sit back and enjoy the benefits. Thinking about it, Mu Chen became even more tempted, looking very good no matter how he thought about it. He hardly needs to do anything anymore. But the most important thing now is, who is his host? According to his understanding, if the host is not bound, everything around him should be in darkness. Only by binding the host can we see the scene around the host. Thinking this way, Mu Chen waved his hand and summoned the host panel. He thought to himself, if this host doesn't work, we should kill him as soon as possible and replace him with another one. From the previous residual information, it appears that he has traveled through the wilderness. If this is bound to a little trash, if he wants to have a real body, he may have to wait for tens of thousands of epochs. As the action fell, a semi-transparent blue light screen appeared before his eyes. Host. Tong Tian. Identity. Upper Qing of Pangu Sanqing, future leader of the Jijiao sect. Cultivation. Peak of the Great Luo Golden Immortal. The way of law. The way of sword, the way of formation. Treasure. None. Evaluation. The scum of the heavens, almost a poor person. Lying trough. Tong Tian. At the moment of seeing the 2 words, Tong Tian, Mu Chen immediately became excited. You should know that besides Hongjun, who combines with his body, Tongtian's strength in the 6 saints can definitely rank second. It's just slightly inferior to the sage Laozi of the Qing dynasty. With such a host around, Muchen never expected him to lose. As for the fact that in the future, as the leader of the intercepted church, Tong Tian will be tricked into being the commander of the light staff, it no longer exists. At the peak of the realm of the Great Luo Golden Immortal, it seems that he has not yet listened to Hongjun's preaching. I had no choice before, so naturally I had to go listen to Hongjun. Now that he has the Hongmeng Holy Master system in place, he can still go to hell. However, thinking about Tongtian's current strength, Mu Chen glanced at the system's automatic evaluation of Tong Tian, feeling somewhat incomprehensible. It's hard to say if you're poor. At this moment, Hongjun hasn't preached yet, and Tong Tian hasn't received the magic treasures on the Fenbao cliff. Tong Tian can be said to be alone, but he's just a poor person. Where did the term, scum, come from? Tong Tian has the pinnacle cultivation of the Great Luo Golden Immortal. During the time when this sage was not yet born, his cultivation was not considered scum, right? If this cultivation is considered scum, what are the other creatures in the wilderness? For a moment, Mu Chen couldn't think of a suitable adjective to describe them. Seemingly sensing the doubts in Mu Chen's heart, another light curtain slowly opened next to the host light curtain in the sky. On the huge screen of light, only 9 lines of text spread throughout it. They are the Sage Realm, Heavenly Dao Realm, Great Dao Realm, Hunyuan Wutai Realm, and finally the 9 realms of Hongmeng Great Dao Realm. It corresponds exactly to the 9 stages of the system. Among them, the 5 realms of Hunyuan are a unified term, divided into 5 realms. This is the division of saints and higher realms within the system. According to the Honghuang theory, there was a quasi-holy realm before the sage realm. Together, it will take 10. So it seems that the top cultivation of the Luo Jin Xian, Tong Tian, in his own eyes, is really a scum. In order to reach the 9th stage as quickly as possible, it is urgent to supervise the matter of going to heaven. When examining the division of the realm above the sage in the system, Mu Chen received the only task exclusively for him. It can also be said that the purpose of being a system is to cultivate others. Cultivate the holy masters of all heavens and prove the sovereignty of all heavens. This task does not conflict with the system itself. All of them are to make the host, who is the one who connects the heavens, become stronger by accepting disciples and become the holy teacher of the heavens. As a system, Mu Chen slowly reaps the source of Hongmeng during this process, upgrades to the 9th stage, obtains his true body, and proves to be the ruler of the heavens. Next, it is necessary to make Tong Tian aware of the existence of the system. Mu Chen's gaze slowly fell into the scenery outside. The vast land is the ancestral vein of countless mountains. As a holy land of the three teachings in later generations, Kunlun Pangu has been extraordinary since the opening of heaven and earth. Amidst the mist of immortality, the vast and infinite spiritual energy of heaven and earth transformed into a torrent and flowed into the mountains, dividing into 3 parts and flowing into the bodies of 3 sitting men below. The appearances of the 3 men, from left to right, are elderly, middle-aged, and young. The old man was born fearless, and his hair was silvery white. He looked like Mount Taishan had collapsed in front of him without changing his face. He just sat there, occasionally lifting his hand and lightly twisting his beard, and there was a way of yin-yang harmony, flowing between heaven and earth with his movements, as if transcending the mundane, as if divine as holy, mysterious and extraordinary. The middle-aged man in the middle had a stern face, his eyebrows sometimes tightened and sometimes stretched out, and his dark yellow Taoist robe wrapped around him, making him even more imposing. The last young man, with a pair of sword eyebrows and a green robe. Just sitting quietly cross-legged, the space around him was already filled with sword energy, raging and stirring the void. As if there is a great terror, it's like tearing apart space. Next second. Bang! The infinite sword intent shattered the void, and the terrifying pressure suddenly landed on Kunlun, startling the middle-aged man beside him. The old man also slowly opened his eyes and looked towards the young man, his eyes calm. It's really not the fault of that young man for causing such a big commotion. Even himself was startled, his eyes full of shock. Just now, there was a voice that was ethereal, like the sound of the Tao, echoing through his sea of consciousness. Ding! Congratulations to the host for successfully binding to the Hongmeng Holy Master System. Chapter 2. The system is crazy, I really like it. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 2. The system is crazy, I really like it. Tong Tian is confused. The sudden sound in my mind immediately froze Tong Tian's entire body in place. He suddenly opened his eyes and instinctively spread out in all directions, trying to figure out who was pretending to be mischievous. In the entire Kunlun Mountains, only Sanqing was present, with no one else. Even the creatures that have activated spiritual intelligence are not within the range that can be covered during the cultivation of Sanqing. The divine consciousness that transcends the heavens naturally cannot uncover anything. Who exactly is it? What is the ability to enter the secret with divine knowledge? Pretending to be mischievous. Get out. Tong Tian knows that with his current strength, he cannot surpass the flood and famine. It is also possible to find someone who is stronger than him. But he was transformed by Yuanshi. What is his fear in his heart? Faced with enemies that cannot be explored, the solution chosen by Tong Tian is definitely to go straight up. Third brother, who are you? Noisy and noisy, what kind of behavior is it? Taiqing and Yuanshi are right beside Tong Tian. Originally startled by Tong Tian, the two of them felt a bit unhappy, but as biological brothers, they couldn't hold Tong Tian accountable and could only watch him quietly. But just as they were curious about what their 3 younger brothers were going to do, they didn't expect that in the end, they would wait with a suspicious expression. Taiqing and Yuanshi naturally wanted to speak up and inquire. Ding! Congratulations to the host for successfully binding to the Hongmeng Holy Master System. Tong Tian opened his mouth, just as he was about to speak out the voice that had been ringing in his mind, it struck again. This time, it completely enraged Tong Tian. He stood up directly from the place of meditation, his sharp gaze scanning all directions. What kind of rat generation are they? They only dare to hide behind the scenes, without the courage to come out and meet. Third brother, okay, what's wrong with you suddenly going crazy? Tai Ching frowned and looked at Tong Tian with a hint of dissatisfaction. This is a critical moment for breaking through the quasi-holy realm. Allowing Tong Tian to roar and scream here, he doesn't need to practice anymore. If the water is too clear, there are still concerns about the brotherly relationship with Tong Tian. The words that Yuanshi swallowed up were questioning and reprimanding. Third brother, it's an important moment. If you don't cultivate well and break through the quasi-saint, what does it mean to curse here? Not only did it delay my own cultivation, but it also disturbed my brother and me in our cultivation. This is Kunlun, who can appear silently near the three of us without being discovered. Yuanshi spoke and exchanged a glance with Tai Ching, their eyes filled with confusion. There are not many who can surpass them in the current chaos. Even the restrictions outside their cultivation place cannot be broken by others. Where are the others in Tongtian's mouth? Isn't Tong Tian pointing fingers and cursing locusts? Tai Ching and Yuanshi suddenly became suspicious in their hearts. As for the questioning of the Yuanshi who smashed into the sky, throughout the entire article, it all showcases the dignity of the elder brother. If we were to put it in the past, we would argue with Yuanshi about anything that goes through the heavens. But at this moment, listening to the constantly thinking voices in my mind, I couldn't even stir up the heart of debate. I saw two older brothers with a completely indifferent expression. Tong Tian understood that only he could hear the voice in his mind. Perhaps due to practicing for too long, something went wrong. Just now, a hallucination sounded in the sea of consciousness. It's all right now. Although I still don't understand what a system is, the choice of universal consciousness is to conceal it. The two brothers can't hear it, and even if he says it, it's just adding trouble. Furthermore, whether Yuanshi will believe him or not has been debated. Moreover, there is a vague intuition that the sound that comes to mind is a good thing. In this case, Tong Tian cannot let others know. Opportunities in the wilderness cannot be shared with others, even brothers cannot. The three of us reside here, practicing for thousands of years. The third brother has a natural and straightforward personality. Even if there is a mistake in his cultivation, it is normal. Tai Ching nodded and continued. Third brother, don't continue practicing anymore. First, polish your mind to be peaceful, and then make breakthroughs. Got it, brother. Knowing that Tai Ching was concerned, Tong Tian nodded in agreement. On the other hand, Yuanshi, who clearly understood everything in his heart, still spoke words that made people want to beat them up. Why take on a big responsibility when one's mood is unstable? Third brother's temperament still needs to be honed well. After Yuanshi finished speaking, he closed his eyes directly. Tong Tian felt anxious in his heart, but he had to interrupt his argument due to the sound coming from the sea. It is an honor for me to be my bond. I should know that the realm I am in is beyond my reach in this lifetime. It is well known that no one can hear the voice in his mind. So for now, in order not to let the two brothers notice anything unusual, he chose to sit down again, then close his eyes, and when his mind calmed down, he directly asked Mu Chen in Shihai. Who are you? Why can we block the perception of the two brothers? What is the purpose of transmitting messages to me? I know you're very excited, but don't get excited yet. Mu Chen slowly suppressed Tong Tian's excited heart and waited for him to recover his composure before continuing. I am the Hongmeng Holy Master System, an existence that can make me a Holy Master of all heavens. To bind with me, you need to recruit disciples from various heavens and worlds. If your disciples' strength increases, in addition to your strength, you will also receive rewards. This system has a total of 9 layers of restrictions, and each layer can unlock my different abilities. There is an ability to assist, which is to borrow strength from me. You should know that I am an untouchable and indescribable existence, even 1,000th of my power, which will intimidate the world. It sounds like your system is extremely good, but I believe this power boost cannot be activated by the first few prohibitions. If I go to recruit disciples without any restrictions and carefully teach them in order to complete the task, I'm afraid it will hinder my own cultivation. Isn't this a case of putting the cart before the horse? Tong Tian didn't wait for Mu Chen to explain to him, so he went straight down. With my strength, I initially recruited apprentices. The strength feedback from those apprentices may not be enough. Where is the quantity that can only cause qualitative change? How can one accept apprentices without any restrictions? All things in the world are equal and have the right to pursue the great path. However, the nature of a disciple is also of utmost importance. A person with good character, from a humble background, can also be an apprentice. Even a saint with poor character should be rejected. Saint. The whole world consciousness repeated what Mu Chen said, and his heart was full of doubts. Nowadays, there is no saint in the vast wilderness, and the heavens only know that there is a higher realm above the Great Luo golden immortal. He is completely unaware of what this realm is and what it is called. Mu Chen heard the confusion in Tongtian's words and suddenly heard that there was no such thing as a saint in this realm yet. Thinking about it, he informed Tong Tian about the fact that the Luo Jin Xian was appointed as a quasi-saint and later became a saint. At the same time, he also said, under the sage, there are ants. Are all ants under the sage? Tong Tian thought about the Great Luo Jingxian realm of Mu Chen, and also thought that the sage could only achieve the next two realms. His eyes were full of brilliance. Can I still accept saints as disciples? This is truly the holy master of the heavens. Tong Tian was shocked in his heart and unconsciously spoke out the words that came to his mind. The next second, Mu Chen's voice rang out again in his sea of consciousness. Why not? It's just a bigger scum, and it's nothing in the world. Okay, how crazy. Tong Tian widened his eyes in the sea of consciousness. He felt that he acted extremely recklessly, and did not expect the self-proclaimed system to exist in his mind. Compared to him, there is nothing inferior. If you're about to cultivate him into a saint, don't you talk about it. Do you still want to keep the sage out of the door? Hush. That's crazy, but he really likes it. Being able to be a sage teacher can also turn away saints. Who doesn't like this? Subsequently, Tong Tian focused on learning about the abilities beyond the 9th level prohibition from Mu Chen. And Mu Chen, who is familiar with the history of the wilderness and will soon have the power of a saint, bluntly told Tong Tian. He has a broad understanding of the past and the future. For him, the river of time is the plaything in his hand. The more arrogant Mu Chen is, the more trust Tong Tian has in him. Watching the successful suppression of Tong Tian, Mu Chen calmly released the first phase of the mission to the host. Detected target for apprenticeship, post task. Apprentice collection task. Detected at the foot of Buzhou Mountain, a treasure hunting mouse is about to take shape. Please hurry to the foot of Buzhou Mountain as soon as possible, and start collecting this mouse. Once the task is completed, you will receive a reward. P.S. Is there anyone else reading this book? If there are any, please kneel down and ask everyone to cast some flowers, give tips, give feedback, and leave comments. Thank you. Whenever there is a reward, it will explode at 10 tomorrow. Chapter 3. Apprentice Duobao Taoist. Go to the next. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 3. Apprentice Duobao Taoist. Entering the next stage, the cultivation function of the Holy Master. For everything Mu Chen said, Tong Tian did not have full trust. In the wilderness, there are countless opportunities. Correspondingly, there are countless crises. Until the rewards mentioned by Mu Chen are fulfilled, Tong Tian will remain vigilant against Mu Chen. Mu Chen was aware of this level of vigilance that connected the sky. He doesn't care either, but ultimately what he just said is the truth. Not afraid of the host Tong Tian running away. Believe it or not, as long as you complete the task all day. Through the changes in the scenery outside, one could already guess that Mu Chen was descending towards the Buzhou Mountain, with a calm expression on his face. The two of Taiqing and Yuanshi, who were directly thrown down by Tong Tian, saw Tong Tian suddenly stand up and leave Kunlun without feeling anything wrong. In their eyes, both of them had hallucinations just now. I think it's because I've been practicing here for too long and it's too boring. Going out to relax and calm down is not a big deal. When the relaxation is over, you will come back all day long. So, both Taiqing and Yuanshi no longer paid attention to the trend of Tong Tian and continued their cultivation. Starting from Kunlun, we traveled in the air for a long time and finally reached the boundary where Mount Buzhou is located. On the top of the mountain, it reaches the sky, while on the bottom, it supports the ground. His existence can be seen anywhere in the vast land. Only by getting closer to the foot of the mountain can we see it. Standing at the foot of Mount Buzhou and looking up, you will find that most of Mount Buzhou is hidden in the clouds. Only 1/3 of the area is exposed before our eyes. Even these 1/3 of the mountains are almost reaching the height of the Kunlun Mountains. Since the birth of consciousness, Tong Tian has never left Kunlun and has been practicing with his elder brother. In addition to his cultivation, he occasionally overlooks Mount Buzhou, which stands in the center of the wilderness. No matter how much you can see, it's far less impressive than truly experiencing it. After the Battle of Dao and Mo, the pressure of Mount Buzhou and the surrounding mountains decreased by more than 2.5. Originally, within a radius of 10,000 miles, it was about to land and walk there. Now that the pressure has dropped so much, with a cultivation level of Tong Tian and a background, one can fly directly to the foot of the mountain without walking. If you try hard, even if you go a little further up, it's not impossible. But now the task is still important. At the foot of the mountain, Tong Tian reviewed the task description again to avoid any memory errors. Carefully remembering the task released by Mu Chen, he then spread his divine consciousness in all directions, searching for the transformed creatures that were essentially treasure-seeking mice. Mount Buzhou is extremely powerful and carries immense pressure. Rao, with his extraordinary strength, wants to explore the entire foothills of the mountain with just one thought, which is also a foolish dream. So, after checking the place shrouded in divine consciousness and finding no disciples to look for, Tong Tian set off for the next place. After 3 such attempts, Tong Tian finally found a snow-white treasure-hunting mouse in the place of a naturally inferior spiritual grass. When Tong Tian saw it, the treasure-hunting mouse was swallowing the newly discovered spiritual grass into its stomach. The innate spirit grass, even if it is inferior, can be called vast as the sea with all the spiritual energy in it. A massive spiritual energy suddenly surged into the body, and the small eyes of the treasure-hunting mouse widened wide. The spiritual energy constantly spreading from his stomach fills his meridians. Then, his strength, which had not grown for a long time, continued to rise at a visible speed to the naked eye. Above the sky, thunderclouds gather. The purple-black, dark and terrifying thunder kept exploding in the air. That thundercloud, also centered around the location of the treasure-hunting mouse, extends out for millions of miles. Transforming thunderbolt calamity. Tong Tian looked at Lei Yun, who suddenly appeared in his eyes, thought for a moment, and then stepped back a bit, looking from a distance. Before the struggle between Dao and Mo, the creatures in the wilderness transformed and never needed to go through thunder tribulations. Since the defeat of the demon ancestor Luo Gui, who filled the void with his own rules, this void has also been plagued by thunder calamity. This thunder disaster relies on the help of outsiders, but cannot rely on outsiders. Furthermore, the first apprenticeship mission released by Mu Chen, Tong Tian also wants to know what abilities this treasure-seeking mouse has to become his first disciple. What is the cultivation of Tong Tian? He doesn't want to be discovered. How did the untapped treasure-hunting mouse know of his existence? The treasure-hunting mouse faces the thunder calamity in the sky, with endless ambition in its small eyes. Since the birth of spiritual wisdom, the creatures of the wilderness have understood a truth. If you want to explore the great path, you must transform and succeed. Nowadays, the transformation thunder calamity is right in front of us. For the treasure-hunting mouse, it is the exposed threshold of the avenue. How can he not be excited? The snow-white fur, against the backdrop of this thunder disaster, becomes even more polished and slippery. The silver arc that kept escaping from the thunderclouds landed on the treasure-hunting mouse and was blocked by the fur in the next moment. Of course, the qualifications of treasure-hunting mice are just like that. Lei Yun did not accumulate for a long time and fell directly from the sky. Thunderclouds falling one after another. In the land shrouded in thunder, all the creatures at the foot of the mountain fled for a moment. The location of the treasure-hunting mouse was left with only two creatures, the treasure-hunting mouse and the celestial being. Unlike the distressed treasure-hunting mouse constantly bombarded by thunder, Tong Tian stood there, with no thunder daring to touch him at all. Thunderbolt struck for 3 full days. 3 days later, the last thunderbolt fell, and the thunderclouds on the sky suddenly dissipated. A golden light emerged and landed on the treasure-seeking mouse, healing his external injuries. The treasure-hunting mouse transformed into a fat Taoist in his 20s amidst the thunder and golden light. The obese Taoist had a shiny face, and his narrow eyes couldn't help but look around, making him look even more lewd. In the early stage of Jin Xian. Feeling the cultivation of the treasure-hunting mouse after transformation, Tong Tian didn't think much and appeared directly in front of the treasure-hunting mouse. I am Tong Tian, one of the 3 cleanliness transformed by appeared.Yuanshi. Ru, are you willing to learn from me? Standing in the sky, with one hand on the back, looking at the treasure-seeking mouse with a faint expression. It's like he would appear here, taking the treasure-seeking mouse as his disciple, all with one thought. The treasure-hunting mouse transformed into a golden immortal, looking very powerful. But he knew in his heart the difficulty he wanted to continue breaking through. The power of the Luo Jin Xian is unknown to everyone in the entire wilderness, isn't it? Not to mention the identity of Tong Tian, he is one of the 3 cleanses transformed by the appeared.Yuanshi. Please, that's Panga Sanqing. A great figure that resounds throughout the wilderness. It is a great honor for such a person to accept him as his disciple, a small treasure-hunting mouse. At the moment when the opportunity spoke out, the treasure-hunting mouse immediately knelt down. Disciple Duobao, pay respects to master. Tong Tian nodded and didn't say much. Just as Duobao knelt down, Mu Chen's voice rang out again in the sea of consciousness. Congratulations to the host for completing the task and receiving rewards. Hall of all heavenly saints, innate treasure. All heavenly saints pen, innate treasure. All heavenly disciple book, hall of all heavenly saints. Tong Tian Dao Field, surpassing Zixiao Palace Dao Field, supreme, can exist in the immortality of all heavens, invincibility of all laws, and invincibility of chaos. Master of all heavens pen. The pen writes about all the heavens, depicts all the heavens, and contains infinite killing intent. It can harm the body of saints and break the 3,000 great laws. Note. Using this pen to write the name of a disciple in the book of disciples in all the heavens can place the spiritual essence of disciples in it, create an immortal body that is immortal, and bind the disciple to the door, never betray the sect for life. Book of Disciples from all heavens. Engrave the names of disciples, have the ability to defend, and even the sages cannot be broken, and can rely on the primordial gods. Those who are named in the book are immortal and immortal. Note. Only with the pen of the Holy Master from all heavens can one leave a name on the book. The rainbow of gold, purple, and white descended from the distant sky, like a shooting star cutting through the sky. Finally, these 3 treasures, which spread the light of the Taoist rhyme, stopped in front of Tong Tian. Above the precious treasure, the charm of the Tao flows, and strands of the light of the great road spin around the treasure, like stars and auspicious clouds. It's truly mysterious and unparalleled. Tong Tian only glanced at these 3 precious treasures in front of him, and his long-neglected cultivation showed signs of loosening. If one can comprehend these three treasures day and night, and become holy throughout the day, it may shorten the time by thousands of years. All the heavenly minds were attracted by the precious treasure that appeared in front of them, and their eyes were full of shock and surprise. The wilderness is so vast, but the quantity of treasures is limited. And most of these treasures have owners. Now he has obtained three at once. There has never been such a moment before in Tong Tian, and I believe that Mu Chen is a powerful existence that connects heaven and earth. And Tong Tian completed the task, and Mu Chen, as the system master, naturally obtained what he needed, the Hongmeng origin. No more, no less. The Hongmeng origin, which has just reached 10 o'clock, directly upgrades Mu Chen and enters the second stage. Entering the second stage, Mu Chen's strength naturally arrived at the heavenly Tao realm. A realm beyond the existence of saints. It's Hongjun, who combines his body with the Tao, who is no longer a match for Mu Chen now. It can be said that in the wilderness, Mu Chen is the king. Unfortunately, despite having the strength, Mu Chen was unable to take action. Even if the host Tong Tian is in trouble, he can only watch helplessly. After checking his own gains, Mu Chen took advantage of the situation and informed Tong Tian of the functions that were opened in the second stage. Task completed, system restriction lifted by one layer, and Saint Master cultivation function opened. Just as he was about to call Duobao away, Tong Tian heard the voice of Mu Chen again. Now Tong Tian, who had already placed great trust in Mu Chen, immediately began to study. Looking at the system introduction, the more disciples there are, the stronger the teacher, and the improvement that Tong Tian, as a teacher, can receive. Tong Tian understands that his previous thoughts were too narrow. After understanding the new features of the system and the three uses of the precious treasures, Tong Tian first collected the various heavenly holy masters' hall in the dojo, then looked at Duobao in front of him and pondered for a moment, directly lifting his hand to hold the pen of the various heavenly holy masters standing in the air. As soon as I started using the pen of the Divine Master of all heavens, I suddenly found a way to manipulate my internal magic and guide him to engrave his name in the book of disciples in all heavens. Grasping the pen of the heavenly sages in hand, Tong Tian mobilized his own understanding of the Tao. At this moment, all the insights of Tong Tian on the Sword Avenue and Formation Avenue were merged into the purple and golden pen of the heavenly Saint Master in his hand. And this path, which has been practiced for countless years, has only awakened a strand of power from the pens of the heavenly masters. Buzz. The power within the pen of the Holy Master of all heavens was suddenly aroused by the heavenly heavens, causing a buzzing sound. With this buzzing sound, there is also a sudden wisp of divine power that appears throughout the entire flood. There is no saint in the wilderness. The creatures of the wilderness have never felt the holy might. Why? So when this trace of divine power enveloped the entire flood, all the creatures in the flood were startled. Saint Wei comes and goes quickly. Before the creatures of the wilderness could perceive where the holy power came from, it had disappeared without a trace. So, the creatures of the wilderness began to speculate, wondering who the divine was causing this change. Tong Tian did not know that he triggered the vibration that the pens of the heavenly masters brought to the living beings in the wilderness. After merging with the pens of the heavenly sages, the understanding of the Tao directly drives the hand of the heavenly sages to land on the disciple book of the heavenly sages, and then engraves the name of Duobao one by one. As the last stroke of the word treasure fell, the disciples of the heavens immediately lit up with a blue light in their book. The inexplicable rules of Daoyun are hidden within the brightness, and a strand of primordial spirit from Duobao is also drawn into the disciple book of the heavens by this brightness. From then on, Duobao and a strand of Yuanshi entered the disciple book of the heavens, becoming an immortal existence that never dies or dies. After finishing all of this, Tong Tian collected the pens of the heavenly sages and the book of heavenly disciples, brought many treasures, and returned to Kunlun. P.S. Is there anyone else reading this book? If there are any, please kneel down and ask everyone to cast some flowers, give tips, give feedback, and leave comments. Thank you. Whenever there is a reward, it will explode at 10 tomorrow. Chapter 4. The road we need to take, already. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 4. The path we need to take is gradually fading away. Duobao was stunned when he heard Tong Tian say he wanted to take him back to Kunlun Daochang. In the wilderness, although some people may accept apprentices, most of them are just nominal mentors and apprentices. Truly preaching and receiving education does not exist. After all, before Hongjun preached, there was no clear concept of martial arts in the wilderness. The cultivation of most living beings relies on the knowledge that is born to be known in the sea, gradually moving towards the great path. The way cannot be passed lightly. I will not easily inform others of the path I have taken. Only with close friends and confidants can there be a discourse on the Tao. Duobao has a solid foundation and is not as outstanding as any other creatures in the wilderness. In Duobao's view, being able to worship under the name of Tong Tian and receive protection from it is already a great benefit from heaven. How could he be greedy to really teach him? Master, are you telling the truth? Duobao looked into Tong Tian's eyes, tears streaming down his face. Nature, what did I do to deceive you? Tong Tian knew Duobao's thoughts in his heart, but he didn't want to say much. He waved his sleeve and took Duobao up the auspicious clouds, heading towards Kunlun. The vast land and abundant resources take several days and years to travel from Zhoushan to Kunlun alone. By the time they returned to the seclusion of their two elder brothers, Taiqing and Yuanshi had already entered a state of seclusion, leaving only a trace of the primordial spirit paying attention to external things. Even the original character, at first Tong Tian didn't want to tell his brother, so he accepted his disciple. However, Duobao still needs to cultivate in the Kunlun Mountains and will be discovered sooner or later. It would be better not to inform in advance than to have another incident later. At this point, Tong Tian directly released his divine consciousness and informed his two brothers about his return from traveling through the wilderness. Is my mood peaceful now? Upon hearing the transmission of the heavenly divine consciousness, Taiqing woke up from his cultivation and asked for help. Beside him, Yuanshi also looked at Tong Tian with a puzzled expression. Of course, Duobao, who was so big, took a step behind Tong Tian, and the two of them, Taiqing and Yuanshi, naturally saw it. They don't ask, they are waiting for the heavens to speak. After a journey, my mood finally calmed down. First, I answered Taiqing's question and tested my body all day, revealing Duobao's figure and introducing myself. When I only traveled to Mount Buzhou, I encountered Duobao by chance. Observing his transformation and crossing the calamity, his heart was filled with waves, so he took him as his disciple and brought him back to Kunlun. Tong Tian briefly explained why he took Duobao as his disciple and his identity as Duobao. No, you just went out once and picked up an apprentice when you came back. Is it because you have no expectations for your disciple, or is it because the changes in the past are too fast? Taiqing and Yuanshi listened to Tong Tian's explanation with question marks on their faces. At this moment, their voices cleverly merged into one. Duobao's cultivation is not bad in the current era, and its foundation is also decent. However, none of these were seen by Taiqing and Yuanshi. In addition, the prototype of the Duobao treasure hunting mouse has not yet been discussed by Taiqing. Yuanshi, who had long been unable to bear to act recklessly, was the first to speak up. Third brother, if you want to accept your apprenticeship, the vast majority of creatures in the wilderness want to worship under the three of us. Not to mention finding someone with deep spiritual roots and good fortune as a disciple, at least choosing an innate creature is also necessary, right? As he spoke, Yuanshi glanced at Duobao with disdain in his eyes. How did you find such a wet and egg-like person? A beast, also assigned to my Sanqing sect. The 4 words, without vision, were clearly displayed in Yuanshi's eyes. Duobao, this is your master taking. Halfway through Tong Tian's words, he was interrupted by the words spoken by Yuanshi. Before returning to Kunlun, Tong Tian could already guess that Yuanshi couldn't say anything pleasant. The elder brother Yuanshi's admiration for his roots and feet is engraved in his bones. No matter what, Tong Tian could not have imagined that Yuanshi would directly criticize Duobao in front of him. As a great power in the wilderness, even the heavens possess majesty. What is the difference between Yuanshi doing this and directly connecting the heavenly face? Moreover, Duobao, this disciple, is not asking him to go to Yuanshi to collect it. What Brother Air said is interesting. We are not one, I have my own ideas. Duobao is my disciple, not yours. Why do you need to say so much? Directly speaking up, he retorted, his gaze fixed on Yuanshi, and he continued to question and speak out. Furthermore, senior brother, please don't use that statement of wet spawning and egg turning, covered in scales and armor, to tell me. In my eyes, all beings are equal. I think my disciple is intelligent and clever. As long as he has good guidance, he will definitely be able to pass on his name to the world. Second brother wouldn't have been jealous of me for accepting such a good disciple, would he have spoken sarcastically? Jealousy. Yuanshi looked at Tong Tian incredulously, reached out and pointed to himself, practicing and asking questions. What do I envy you for? Jealousy that you just accepted a decent disciple. Is it worth my jealousy that you, the disciple who has never reached the level of 3 flowers gathering at the top, Joke, how many of those innate beings, besides those with exceptional talent, are born with 3 flowers at their heads? Most of them don't start with golden immortals. Faced with Yuanshi's counter-questioning, Tong Tian unabashedly launched a counterattack. Alright, why are you two always so noisy? Tai Yen saw that if he didn't stop, these 2 younger brothers would argue for hundreds of years due to this issue, and finally couldn't help but speak up to persuade them. Tong Tian, as your younger brother, why do you always argue with your older brother? When Yuanshi said about you, he didn't want you to teach his disciple too hard. He just had a tough temper and couldn't say anything good. After knocking on Tong Tian, Tai Ching looked back at Yuanshi and continued. And you, as an elder brother, cannot speak well. The road is 3,000, how do you know that Sandi said the path he took was not correct? Don't judge others by yourself, be domineering in domineering. The 2 of them tapped each other for a while, and then Tai Ching summarized his speech. Alright, that's all for today's matter. You and I are all transformed by Panga Yuanshan. If we continue to argue, it will only make others laugh. The argument between Tong Tian and Yuanshi is due to a different understanding of the Tao. At present, the matter of accepting many treasures as apprentices has become a foregone conclusion. At the beginning, it was said that breaking the sky was useless. Furthermore, Tai Ching, the elder brother, was extremely majestic in Tong Tian and Yuanshi, and they dared not easily refute Tai Ching's remarks. So shortly after Tai Ching spoke, the 2 of them glared at each other and sat down on their own futon. Duobao sat cross-legged several hundred meters away from the 3 people. Since we don't argue anymore, why don't we just sit down and verify the insights brought by this millennium-long seclusion on the road? How about that? Sanqing used to do the same in the past. After practicing for a period of time, if one finds that their cultivation progress is slow, they will discuss with each other. Then continue to practice in seclusion. Their last discourse was 1,000 years ago. Afterwards, they stayed for a long time at the peak of the Golden Immortal Realm in Dalao. There hasn't been any change in 1,000 years, so if they want to break through to the next stage, they still need to verify each other's ideological changes over the past 1,000 years. I can't say what different gains there will be. After all, blindly practicing in seclusion leads to slow progress, almost non-existent. To break through, I don't know how many years it will take. Yuanshi also had this idea, and after speaking too clearly, he nodded in agreement. As a result, in the eyes of Tai Ching, Tong Tian, who would not refuse, directly opened his mouth and refused this proposal of the Tao when Yuanshi nodded. Why? Tai Ching looked at Tong Tian and wanted to ask an answer. The biggest difference I gained from this journey through the wilderness is in my understanding of the Tao. As Tong Tian spoke, he looked at Tai Ching and Yuanshi and continued speaking. My way is far from my two brothers. Even discussing with older brothers doesn't bring much benefit. Can you tell me the difference between your path and ours? Yuanshi asked. My way, the way of teachers. Tong Tian looked at the two of them and directly spoke out his own words. The way of being a teacher, as long as he accepts disciples from behind, others will definitely have guesses. Now tell Tai Ching and Yuanshi that there is not much relationship between them. The most important thing is that he also wants to tell the two of them that the path they need to take is really far apart. Instead of saying that he doesn't want to argue with his brother. I don't know about certain things yet, but I still attach great importance to the relationship between these two brothers. After Tong Tian finished speaking, his whole body relaxed. On the other hand, Tai Ching and Yuanshi fell into a long silence while listening to Tong Tian's words. P.S. Is there anyone else reading this book? If there are any, please kneel down and ask everyone to cast some flowers, give tips, give feedback, and leave comments. Thank you. Whenever there is a reward, it will explode at 10 tomorrow. Chapter 5. Hongjun proves the way and becomes holy. Preaching in the purple sky. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 5. Hongjun proves the way and becomes holy. Preaching to the purple sky palace. Take in 3,000 guests. Sanqin was transformed into the primordial spirit of Pangu. Due to the division of the primordial spirit into three, the three of them had some deviations in their understanding of the cultivation knowledge in the sea. No matter how much deviation there is, this cultivation method is still derived from Pangu. The paths taken by the three of them have similarities. As a result, at this moment, Tong Tian suddenly dropped a bomb, telling Tai Ching and Yuanshi that he would no longer follow the path of Pangu. He is going on another path that he has never walked before. In the eyes of Tai Ching and Yuanshi, this behavior is simply nonsense. The two wanted to dissuade, but they looked at the firmness in Tong Tian's eyes. In the end, the two of them chose to give up. The three of them still have a long and endless time to live. If Tong Tian wants to take a different route, let him go. If you find it doesn't work later, you will naturally turn around. With such thoughts in mind, the two no longer hesitated whether to persuade Tong Tian or not. At the same time, the matter of the three people discussing Taoism was abandoned. But if they don't verify each other, will they still be locked up? Long years, just for that little bit of improvement, almost non-existent. It's just a waste of time. But apart from this method, the two of them couldn't come up with a better one. Hey! At this point, both Tai Ching and Yuanshi let out long sighs. Just as this long sigh fell, a purple aura rose from the distant east, transforming into a brilliant purple light, reflecting on the vast expanse of the heavens. Purple air rises, and golden light suddenly appears. Holy power is like the sea, permeating the wilderness. At this moment, countless creatures in the wilderness looked at the purple aura rising from the east, stretching for billions of miles, and felt enveloped by a tremendous pressure. My legs involuntarily bend up and slowly kneel down. In the wilderness, only the great power of the pinnacle of the golden immortal of the Great Luo can resist this holy power. A thought that arose in their hearts ultimately led them to choose the same choice as other beings. Just because, as they rose up with the idea of rebellion, a voice that echoed through the vast world echoed throughout the world. Lying tall with 9 layers of clouds, the way is true. The world is dark and yellow outside, and I will be the leader of the sect. Pangu gave birth to Tai Chi, following the principles of 2E and 4 Xiang. The melody rings, with countless auspicious clouds in the south and countless auspicious signs in the north. Waves of fragrant fragrance accompanied by spiritual rain. Saints are born. Everyone watched the scene before them and felt the holy power around them. These 4 words come to mind. Along with it, inexplicably appearing in the heart, there are also the 4 words, worship of sentient beings, that follow closely. Is this the existence that transcends Dalai Lama? Yuanshi looked up at this celestial anomaly and thought to himself. Standing beside him, Tai Ching looked at this vision and felt that it should be an existence far beyond the Great Luo. Is this kind of existence born like this? Who is it? Startled in the heart, Sanqing's heart surged with the same doubt. You should know that as the original gods of Pangu, they are truly authentic. Such deep roots and long years of cultivation have not allowed them to take a step forward. Watching others become holy. Sanqing's heart is numb. No matter what Sanqing thought in his heart, after reciting the melody in the sky, the majestic sound rang out again. I am Hongjun, observing the creatures of the flood and wilderness, practicing hard, and feeling unbearable. Taking this opportunity to become a saint, I aspire to bring benefits to the flood and wilderness, and preach to all sentient beings. However, everything in the world has its own law of causality. Therefore, I will preach to the Zixiao Palace, and anyone who is destined can come. The sound fell, and the sky was filled with strange phenomena fading away. Everything about the Zixiao Palace also emerges in the sea of consciousness of the living beings in the wilderness. Of course, they only know that the Zixiao Palace is in chaos, and only those who are destined can find the specific location. The last sound fell, and the entire flood fell into a long silence. The sage preaches, and my heart longs for it. In Taiching's heart, he struggled constantly. On the one hand, he felt that he was an authentic Pangu and that becoming a saint was a definite thing. On the other hand, he is also very eager to know how to take that step forward. Before Hongjun became a saint, no one could tell him. Now that someone has become a saint and is preparing to preach, Taiching will not miss this opportunity. So, after struggling for a while, Taiching still chose to go. Yuanshi followed closely behind, indicating that he also wanted to go. For a moment, Sanqing were alone, leaving Tong Tian without a statement. Taiching and Yuanshi looked at Tong Tian at the same time, waiting for him to make a decision. Looking at the eyes of the 2 older brothers, Tong Tian's heart became even more hesitant. That's a sage preaching. He really wants to go and see what the way of a saint looks like. But at the moment when the thought of Tong Tian appeared, Mu Chen, who had not spoken for a long time, suddenly spoke out. What to listen to, what to look at, it's just a bigger scum, and it's worth it for you to go. Do you know what kind of opportunity you are getting? Not to mention being a saint, the realm above the saint is in front of you, and it is also garbage in the garbage. Remember, you are the one who wants to become the holy master of the heavens. What kind of sage's way? Don't be foolish, Mao Yong is useless. But now I haven't even found the opportunity to touch the threshold of the sage. Tong Tian listened to Shihai's successive angry words and fell silent for a moment before returning. Apprenticeship task. Please go to the Zixiao Palace to recruit 3,000 disciples. The final reward depends on the number of disciples the host accepts. The more disciples there are in the sect, the richer the reward. Mu Chen, who was too lazy to pay attention and didn't know what kind of luck he had, threw a task in the back. Watching the sudden appearance of the task. At that moment, Tong Tian admitted that he was foolish. No, is this system crazy? Let him go to the Zixiao Palace to collect his disciples, not to mention the matter of robbing his disciple from the only sage in the Hongyuan. Which of these people who are going to the Zixiao Palace to listen to the teachings is not a supreme power? Is it okay for those with the lowest cultivation to be the Luo Jin Xian? After all, in that chaos, without the cultivation of the Luo Jin Xian, there is no way to block the strong wind outside the flood and chaos. What about him? He, Tong Tian, is just a peak of the Great Luo Golden Immortal. If you want to take in an apprentice, who do they know him? I really thought these big shots had no temper, right? I'm afraid he just mentioned the matter of accepting disciples on his end, and he will be surrounded and beaten in the next second. In short, Tong Tian is extremely resistant to accepting disciples in the Purple Sky Palace. Can the rewards given by the system are really delicious? Last time, he only took Duobao from the Golden Immortal as his disciple, and he obtained an unparalleled dojo, along with 2 innate treasures. If this really takes in the 3,000 customers mentioned by the system, not to mention full collection, just a few hundred, and the rewards are beyond his imagination. If he is lucky enough to receive a little more, God knows what the system will reward him. In the end, the carrot hanging in front of Tong Tian, named reward, finally seduced Tong Tian. After the 2 older brothers asked again, Tong Tian nodded and answered Tai Ching's words. Hongjun didn't say when he would start preaching, but it shouldn't be too long. From Kunlun to chaos, coupled with the time to find Zixiao Palace, it won't be too short. Since everyone thought they had gone, Sanqing didn't delay any longer and chose to trigger it immediately. Go to Zixiao Palace. P.S. Is there anyone else reading this book? If there are any, please kneel down and ask everyone to cast some flowers, give tips, give feedback, and leave comments. Thank you. Whenever there is a reward, it will explode at 10 tomorrow. Chapter 6. The great powers of the flood and wilderness gather outside chaos. 3 clear distinctions. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 6. The great powers of the flood and wilderness gather outside chaos. Sanqing dispersed, start recruiting disciples. Between the floods and the wilderness, 9 days and 10 places. The 9th heaven is the highest point of the daily reach of the great power of the flood and wilderness. And the Daochang Zixiao Palace built by Hongjun was in chaos. To enter chaos, one must first ascend to the 33 heavens and then break free from the vast earth's membranes. Only then can we truly enter chaos. Up to the 33rd level of the heavens alone, 90% of the creatures in the wilderness were stopped. Strive away from the earth's membranes, and intercept the remaining 90%. You should know that there is chaotic airflow and strong winds in chaos. Any deficiency in physical body or strength will result in a tragic death in chaos. This disaster once again left 90% of the people. In the end, those who can truly step into chaos and search for the Purple Sky Palace have achieved their highest level of cultivation in the Great Luo Golden Immortal. Outside the membranes of the earth, amidst chaos. Looking at the entire wilderness, Sanqing cultivation is also the top group of people. When they arrived here, there weren't many people yet. After a few months, all the great powers that could be called in the flood and famine gathered in this chaotic foreign exchange. There are many dangers in chaos, and most people dare not venture deep into it alone to find the place of preaching, Zixiao Palace. Sanqing arrived here first, and he was also concerned about this point without going first. There are many people who want to enter chaos, and if they encounter any tricky problems, they will not be truly isolated and helpless. Everyone, our strength is not much different from ours, so I think we have all arrived. Those who haven't arrived yet may have weaker strength than us. There are countless crises in this chaos, but it is still people of equal strength who come together. What do you think, fellow Taoists? Amidst the crowd, the kind-hearted people looked at each other, but no one came out to speak. He thought that most of the people present knew him, so he took the initiative to explore the topic and spoke up to inquire. What Hunyuan Wutai said is reasonable, and this seat also has this meaning. In the crowd, the chubby Taoist with a smile on his face was the first to speak out in agreement. Others also have this idea, and naturally everyone responds, but most people still choose to travel with friends. Seeing everyone find their companions, Tai Ching also looked at the 2 younger brothers beside him and spoke out. So, if we take the lead and enter the wilderness together. Everyone listened to Big Brother. Yuanshi nodded in response. Third brother, what about you? Tai Ching saw that Tong Tian had been speaking and took the initiative to ask. In the eyes of Tai Ching and Yuanshi, there will be no unexpected changes in this matter. Their three brothers, who knew the root of the matter, entered chaos together and fought against the disasters within chaos, which was most appropriate. To the surprise of Tai Ching and Yuanshi, after Tai Ching finished asking, a hesitant expression appeared on Tongtian's face. Big brother and second brother, this time entering chaos, I'm afraid I won't be able to travel with your two brothers. Tong Tian made this decision and also thought about it all the way. He had planned to go to the Purple Sky Palace to recruit his disciples. Can you think about it for a moment? Xixiao Palace is actually Hongjun's dojo, and Hongjun has spread his teachings in the wilderness. If he were to take his apprentices there, wouldn't he have slapped Hongjun in the face? If he really did this, even his two older brothers would be implicated by him, so it is absolutely unacceptable to accept apprentices in the Xixiao Palace. All that Tong Tian can think of is to bump into the chaos, deceive those who want to listen to the Tao, and worship him as a teacher. In this way, he naturally cannot travel with his two brothers. What Tong Tian thinks in his heart is not known to Tai Ching and Yuanshi. In their eyes, the idea of Tong Tian is extremely foolish. Third brother, this chaotic aura is not for fun. Without my brother's Xianhuang Linglong Pagoda, how will you cross this chaotic sea alone? Beyond the wilderness, chaos is boundless. Fortunately, those who have seen chaos in the wilderness call this endless exploration of chaos the Chaos Sea. What Tai Ching said about crossing only refers to the chaotic sea of the journey from the wasteland to the Xixiao Palace, but it is not really about crossing the entire chaos. You don't have to worry, big brother. I have my own way. Tong Tian retorted and saw that Tai Ching and Yuanshi were still trying to persuade him, so he quickly turned his head and ran away. Afraid of being pulled and lectured by the two. I've been sliding all day. Tai Ching and Yuanshi can no longer catch up. The chaos is so great that looking for someone is like searching for a needle in a haystack. I just hope to merge with Tong Tian at Xixiao Palace. Putting aside the matter of the universe, Tai Ching and Yuanshi joined forces to enter chaos. The Xianhuang Linglong Pagoda of heaven and earth was lifted 3 inches above the head by Tai Ching with spiritual power. The sparkling golden light fell down, and the chaotic energy that wanted to get close to the two of them was immediately dispersed by the golden light and drifted towards the surroundings. After entering chaos in Sanqing, the gathering of the Honghuang great energy in this area also followed into the depths of chaos. Faced with the ever-present chaotic energy, many great powers have resorted to various means to drive it away. Some people feel that their strength is average, and after entering chaos, they rush straight to the depths, hoping to reach Xixiao Palace at the fastest speed. Some people who are aware of their sufficient strength are slowly walking in chaos, hoping to find some opportunities. After all, in terms of area, chaos far exceeds famine. There are countless opportunities in the vast chaos. These choices of entering chaos after the great power of the wilderness will not be mentioned for the time being. Tong Tian slipped away from Tai Ching and Yuanshi, and after entering chaos, he wandered aimlessly. He entered this chaos not to gain opportunities within it. He came here to take in his apprentices. Where the great powers that enter chaos will appear cannot be inferred from the heavens. All he can do is wander around in the chaos, touch and see if he can find 3,000 customers and successfully recruit them. I still think the matter of accepting apprentices is a bit inappropriate. Tong Tian encountered his disciples everywhere in the chaos while communicating with Mu Chen in the Sea of Consciousness. What's wrong with it? Look at the system. I am just the pinnacle of the golden immortal realm in the Great Luo kingdom. Most people who can enter the chaos are in this realm. Even if it's a bit close, it can't fall below the level of the Great Luo Gold Fairyland. I don't have an advantage in terms of strength. I'll go up and tell them that I want to accept my apprentices. If you worship me as a teacher, you can get the certificate of Hunyuan. Those people blame me for not treating me like a fool. Along the way to chaos, Tong Tian thought for a long time about how to make those 3,000 powerful guests in the same position worship him as their teacher. At this moment, it's all in chaos, and Tong Tian still hasn't gotten along. There was nothing I could do. The carrot that Mu Chen threw in front of him was too tempting, and he was unwilling to give up. That's why he came to ask Mu Chen for a solution. The difficulties mentioned by Tong Tian were known to Mu Chen early on. If the host is not Tong Tian, Mu Chen naturally will not send the task of collecting 3,000 disciples. The reward for completing this task is generous, but it also requires the ability to complete it. It was only with sufficient background that Mu Chen thought of this task. Now it seems that Tong Tian still lacks some strength. Mu Chen thought and searched through the system warehouse. He integrated with the system, and all the rewards that should be given to the host in the system warehouse belonged to Mu Chen. At this moment, Tong Tian encountered a difficult problem, and Mu Chen thought of cashing out some of the rewards from the task first, so that Tong Tian had the capital to recruit disciples. After searching around, Mu Chen finally selected a Hongmeng-level divine power to lure 3,000 guests. In order to help the host complete the task better, the system is now settling some rewards in advance for the host, hoping that the host can take in an additional 3,000 guests. The sound of Mu Chen fell, and he also distributed the rewards he had selected for Tong Tian. Congratulations to the host for obtaining the Hongmeng-level divine power. Hunyuan Wutai Jing, Hunyuan Wutai Jing. Practicing this scripture can easily lead to the correct path of Hunyuan. You can also comprehend Hunyuan Wutai and step onto the realm of saints. P.S. Is there anyone else reading this book? If there are any, please kneel down and ask everyone to cast some flowers, give tips, give feedback, and leave comments. Thank you. Whenever there is a reward, it will explode at 10 tomorrow. Chapter 7. Hunyuan Wutai Jing. Encountering the Styx River for the first time, tempting. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 7. Hunyuan Wutai Jing. First encounter with the Styx, temptation begins. The Hunyuan Wutai Jing, said to be a kind of Hongmeng divine power, is actually an external manifestation of the Hunyuan Wutai, similar to Tao patterns or the manifestation of the Great Tao. People have 1,000 faces, and there are many techniques that individuals can comprehend from the Hunyuan 5 ties. Those who have read the Hunyuan Wutai Jing and learned the techniques from it can also continue to let others comprehend the Hunyuan Wutai Jing. Therefore, it is known as a divine power of enlightenment. Seeing the sky full of anticipation, Mu Chen didn't hesitate and directly revealed the Hunyuan 5 Tai scriptures to the sky. In an instant, before Tong Tian's eyes, the originally chaotic aura lingered, and in the emptiness of chaos, a little starlight emerged. Starlight expands, and 5 light points accompany the starlight. The light on these 5 spots is extremely weak, appearing faintly and vaguely, as if it were non-existent. But once its light is seen, no one can take their gaze away from them. Because this light falls too grandly into the human eye. Even creatures who are not proficient in cultivation will be captivated by them and unable to escape. Looking at this light, Tong Tian seemed to have entered a dreamland where he saw the entire process of everything from birth to death. It is different from the death and life and death in the wilderness, it is a kind of erasure of existence. Unable to speak, the way is unclear. But as long as someone has seen it, they will never let it go, even if this feeling cannot be expressed, then their heart is clear. Even in it, Tong Tian saw the birth and extinction of the Sword Avenue. It's like a blink of an eye, like a sea of changes. At 5 points of light, following the starlight gradually in the distance, Tong Tian could no longer see that spot of light. Finally, Tong Tian woke up from that mysterious state. Is this the Hunyuan Wutai classic? Feeling the memories in the sea of consciousness, the sky was filled with fear. This is the Hunyuan Wutai classic. The calm that Mu Chen said stirred up a huge wave in Tong Tian's heart. All the scenes observed by his primordial spirit gradually dissipated, and in the vast sea of consciousness, a natural cultivation technique emerged. The cultivation method is called Hunyuan Wutai Jing. Having witnessed the grandeur of the scene, I have come to understand all the realms above Dalai Lama. My heart trembled and was greatly shocked. At the same time, I also have boundless ambition in my heart. The Hunyuan above the quasi-saint is the realm of saints. The heavenly Tao realm and the great Tao realm above the sage. There is also the realm of the Hunyuan Wutai beyond the great Tao realm, which makes him understand how ignorant he used to be. The heavens and the world are truly terrifying. He himself is now in the realm of the Great Luo Golden Immortal. Previously, Mu Chen directly said that he wanted to become the holy master of Hongmeng. Although he understood the weight of these 4 words, due to his lack of insight, he never felt it was so difficult. Tong Tian always thought that becoming the holy master of Hongmeng was just 1 or 2 levels stronger than Hongjun. Now that he knows all of this, it is only through the heavens that he realizes how heavy and long the road is for him to become the holy master of Hongmeng. After all, the strongest person in the current era, Hongjun, is just a sage. Hush. This system is indeed terrifying. Comparing with Hongjun, I couldn't help but take a deep breath in my subconscious thoughts. At the same time, with such divine powers, my confidence surged in my heart. He firmly believes that with this method in hand, he can definitely take in 3,000 guests. He doesn't believe it. With such a skill in hand, he can't even fool those 3,000 guests. Understanding that the 5 great scriptures of the Hunyuan are of utmost importance in admitting 3,000 disciples, Tong Tian no longer hesitated. He found a place in the chaos, sat cross-legged, folded his hands in his lower abdomen, and practiced according to the content he had previously comprehended. The Hunyuan Wutai Jing is an extremely top-notch technique placed throughout the heavens. You should know that after the Hunyuan Wutai, it is the Hongmeng Avenue realm. With just a little practice, the entire chaos began to stir up. First, there was a chaotic atmosphere riot, forming a huge chaotic airflow. In this chaotic airflow, there is still a strong wind mixed in between. For a moment, as they entered chaos, those who wanted to listen to Hongjuan's preaching began to hesitate, pondering whether to wait for the turmoil within the chaos to subside before continuing to search for the purple sky palace. This idea, as soon as it rose in their sea of consciousness, was immediately interrupted by the mysterious Dao Yun aura that came with the mixed air flow. Hongwang Deneng has never seen the Hunyuan Wutai Jing, so he naturally does not know that the breath carried by the chaotic airflow is the Tao rhyme of the Hunyuan Wutai. They only believe that this is the manifestation of the law of the Tao. It was caused by the landing of the treasure. In the wilderness, top-quality innate spiritual treasures are extremely rare, let alone precious treasures. These people immediately rushed towards the direction of the chaotic airflow when they felt it go against the current. Tong Tian didn't expect that he just practiced for a while, which caused the madness of the Honghuang power. Fortunately, the place where he is located is more remote and deep, and those great powers in the wilderness did not find his location for a while. Only during the cultivation of Tongtian, did the Styx River, not far from him, follow the direction of the chaotic airflow and feel the location of Tongtian. If it weren't for the birth of a precious treasure, how could the Tongtian from the 3 cleanses appear here? Mingi looked at Tongtian, who was practicing in the chaos, and felt the direction of the treasure aura just now, thinking that Tongtian had obtained this treasure. Hongwang Deneng knows that Sanqing has an excellent relationship, and the 3 of them have excellent abilities. In most cases, no one dares to provoke these 3 people, and coupled with the fact that Tongtian has been here for an unknown amount of time, Styx naturally believes that the treasure has been refined by Tongtian as the Lord. At this point, if you try to grab it again, the cost-effectiveness is too low. Feeling regretful, the Styx River is about to leave and continues to search for the Purple Sky Palace. Unexpectedly, a deep voice suddenly rang out from behind. Taoist friend, please stay. He did not choose the method of closing the dead gate during his cultivation, and he was aware of the arrival of the Styx River. At first, he didn't speak, it was him thinking about how to persuade Styx. Seeing a solution, he didn't expect that the Styx River was about to leave. Tong Tian quickly withdrew from his cultivation state and let the Styx River stay. I don't know if the Heavenly Way friend is calling me to stop. What's up? Styx paused for a moment, turned his head to look at Tong Tian, and directly asked in reverse. Cough. With a light cough, Tong Tian put the immature ideas in his mind into action. I don't know if you want to break through the Styx River and become a quasi-saint of the Dharma. The Taoist friend's words are interesting. We will meet in this chaos, isn't it all for the purpose of proving the sanctity of the Tao? Styx couldn't understand what was going on in Tongtian's mind, but he still answered Tongtian's question. There is a saint preaching in the Zixiao Palace, and this breakthrough is truly remarkable. It is just around the corner. Isn't it all for this reason that all the Honghuang experts who come to chaos to search for the Purple Sky Palace? So, what about the quasi-saint? The tone of Tong Tian is mysterious and gentle. Who wouldn't want to be above the quasi-saint? Isn't that the current state of Hongjun saint? As soon as he mentioned the realm above the quasi-saint, Styx immediately became excited. On that day, Hongjun became a saint, and who wouldn't have thought of the immense majesty? Cough, bowing to our sect can prove Hunyuan. With one hand on his back and a proud chin, he waits for the Styx River to bow down to him. As a result, after listening to Tong Tian's words, Mingyi only repeated Hunyuan in confusion, and there was nothing else. Listening to the confusion of the Styx River, Tong Tian remembered that there was only the saying of the sage in the flood and wilderness, and there was no such thing as the concept of the Hunyuan. After explaining the relationship between the sage and the Hunyuan, Tong Tian was waiting for him to become a disciple in the Styx River. In Tongtian's view, the temptation of becoming a saint is ahead, who can resist it? However, as Styx listened to Tong Tian's crazy words, his eyes were filled with suspicion. If it weren't for the fear of being beaten up by the heavenly cultivation, the height of the Styx River would have to say, Taoist friend, would you like to see what kind of crazy words you are saying? You are just a Luo Jin Xian. How dare you say that you have the courage to prove the Tao of Hunyuan, or teach your disciples to prove the Tao of Hunyuan? It's really brave. Of course, the Styx River dare not say this directly in front of Tong Tian. The sword path of Tong Tian cannot be ignored. So, Styx's gaze at Tong Tian became more and more obedient. In the heart of Styx River, even when he recognized the transformation of the three cleanings, he completely forgot his mind, otherwise he wouldn't be able to make such outrageous remarks. Joining his sect can lead to the realization of the Tao of Hunyuan. He can go with him. Dao Yu, I suddenly remembered something urgent, so I took a step forward. Hastily found an excuse, and the Styx River planned to run away. Seeing the Styx River about to run, Tong Tian immediately took a step forward and teleported to the body of the Styx River. He reached out and placed his index finger slightly across the forehead of the Styx River. For a moment, the 5 dots of light that followed the starlight that I had seen all day before appeared before the Styx River. The action of Styx wanting to take a step back stopped when those 5 light dots appeared. The Styx River still stands in front of Tong Tian. Under the sensation of his primordial spirit, he stood on a huge starry sky. He watched as the starry sky gave birth to all things, and as all living beings within the starry sky developed and grew stronger. Watching helplessly as all things in the starry sky were destroyed. From life to death, from silence. Under the primordial deity of Styx, he even witnessed the towering sage, the entire process from birth to death. The last point is silence, and the Styx finally breaks free from that state. The Styx River is the second beyond the heavenly realm to witness the powerful and terrifying power of the Hunyuan 5 great scriptures. He has never heard of such supernatural powers before. Even if one breaks free from that state, the Styx River's sea of consciousness is constantly recalling everything they have just seen. When the Styx River calmed down a bit, he looked at Tong Tian again and thought about what Tong Tian had said before. He was completely stunned. He is shallow. Tong Tian watched as the confusion in Styx's eyes faded and shock rose, with a meaningful smile. In the gaze of Styx, Tong Tian slowly turned his mind and waved his hand towards Styx, saying calmly, "I cannot force others to be difficult. Since you really don't want to worship me as your teacher, I won't force you anymore. Leave now. P.S. Is there anyone else reading this book? If there are any, please kneel down and ask everyone to cast some flowers, give tips, give feedback, and leave comments. Thank you. Whenever there is a reward, it will explode at 10 tomorrow." Chapter 8. Styx River. Master is above, please accept Disciple 1. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 8. Styx River. Master is above, please be worshipped by disciples. It's a pity. I thought meeting you in this chaos would prove that we have a master-disciple relationship. Turning his back, Tong Tian couldn't see the expression on Styx's face, but it didn't hinder him from continuing to develop his acting skills. Just then, Tong Tian, who had turned his back, let out a long sigh and continued speaking with a feeling of sadness and regret. Now it seems that I am wishful thinking. After speaking, Tong Tian stopped speaking and waved his hand to let the Styx leave on its own. Wait. Awakened from the shock of the Hunyuan Wutai Jing, before Styx could say a word, he heard Tong Tian talking non-stop. Seeing Tong Tian continue to speak, this matter of apprenticeship will turn yellow. The Styx River finally couldn't bear to stop. Upon hearing the urgent voice of the Styx River, Tong Tian spoke in confusion and then turned his mind to look towards the Styx River. I don't know, my friend, what else is there? No one knows the way to Xixiao Palace, so don't miss the hour, Taoist friends. Tong Tian looked at the Styx River with a thoughtful expression on his face. Unfortunately, for Styx, the last thing he needs now is to think for him. No, I wonder if what the senior said before is true. Styx had already wavered in his heart and instinctively respected him in his address. He had just seen everything, but the scenery seen by the primordial god was too dreamy, and the Styx River had a floating and unreal feeling. Nature is true. Entering my sect, I will become a master of enlightenment. The simple 8 words of Tong Tian export strike directly at the heart and soul of the Styx River. Later, before the Styx River could ask, Tong Tian directly pointed at the center of the Styx River's eyebrows and informed him of all the realms above the Styx River's Great Luo. Upon learning that there were still more than 10 realms above the Dalai Lama, the Styx River was shocked and also developed a sense of respect for Tong Tian. Just now, Tong Tian informed me that the Styx River is not only about its realm, but also about the Hongmeng divine power of the Hunyuan 5 Tai scriptures. Please. With this divine power, who would go to Xixiao Palace to hear it? That Hongjun is just a saint. Compared to Hongjun, Tong Tian is much stronger. Master Tong Tian, become a disciple of Tong Tian, and he will have the opportunity to practice the Hunyuan 5 Tai Jing in the Styx River. Breaking through to the quasi-saint is just a matter of time, and there may even be a chance to prove the mixed element. If you had this chance, why did you go to Xixiao Palace to hear about it? Dogs don't even go. Me, Styx. Never listen. I have also answered your doubts. You'd better hurry up and avoid missing the hour. I'm also in a hurry, and there are disciples waiting for me to collect them. Seeing the Styx River remain motionless, how does Tong Tian not know what is going on in Styx's heart? If it had been before, he would have been hesitant to ask again if he wanted to apprentice. Now, if you don't say anything good about the Styx River, you have to consider whether to accept it all day long. Master, please accept my disciples' worship. The Styx River saw that its own opportunity was about to slip away, and he didn't want to face Tong Tian directly. He bowed in mid-air and shouted, Master. As Tong Tian was thinking about how to speak well with the Styx River in order to accept his apprentices, he was startled by Styx River's sudden posture. At the end of the day, the Styx River is the same as the heavenly realm. As a great power in the wilderness, the Styx River should have dignity. From beginning to end, Tong Tian never imagined that the Styx would bow down directly. In his mind, Styx wanted to become a disciple and would also find a way to step down for himself. So seeing Styx behave like this, Tong Tian fell silent. Congratulations to the host, you have successfully recruited the Styx River, and the rewards have started to stack. Silence reigns throughout the day, but Mu Chen remains silent. Seeing the heavenly harvest of the Styx River, Mu Chen immediately spoke out as a reminder. Upon hearing the sound of Mu Chen, Tong Tian regained his senses from the silence and looked at the Styx River with a compassionate gaze to the extreme. No way, who makes the number of apprentices related to his reward. At the same time, the profound blessings and opportunities of Tong Tian also demonstrate the level of desire of the Hongjun great ability for cultivation. The needle doesn't poke. The greater the desire for cultivation, the crazier it becomes. The happier you are when you reach the sky. Who makes it easy for him, who represents possessing the Hunyuan 5 Tai scriptures, to accept disciples. Get up now. From today on, you will be my second disciple under my name. I will bestow upon you the method of cultivation. The previous Hunyuan 5 Tai scriptures of the heavenly warrior to the Styx River were not complete. The Styx River can only feel the shock in that scene and the profound principles of the heavens contained within it. But if he wants to cultivate through this, there's nothing he can do. At this moment, the Hunyuan Wutai Jing taught by Tong Tian in the Styx River is complete. The Styx received the Hunyuan Wutai Jing and immediately felt the relaxation of its realm. After kneeling and thanking Tong Tian, he expressed his intention to return to the Sea of Blood to continue his enlightenment and strive to break through to the quasi-holy realm as soon as possible. Tong Tian also knew how much the temptation to the power of the wilderness was when his realm was elevated, so he waved his hand and let the Styx River leave. Disciple Mingi, thank you to the Master for giving me the Dharma. The Styx once again kowtowed to the heavens, then stood up and left to look at the chaos. As for the initial purpose of coming here, I went to Zixiao Palace to hear about this matter. Styx just wants to say, the way of sages, even dogs don't listen. Watching the Styx River leave, Tong Tian's happy steps became much lighter. Hey, accepting apprentices is really too easy. I'm so afraid that even 3,000 customers won't be enough for me to accept it. Searching for the traces of others in the chaos, Tong Tian perfected the strategy of collecting disciples while showing off with Mu Chen. Listening to the extreme of Versailles in Tong Tian, Mu Chen rolled his eyes up with a single glance. This really doesn't matter time, territory, or identity. Versailles is truly something deep down. However, looking at the gloomy appearance of Tong Tian, Mu Chen couldn't suppress his own negative factors. Among the 3,000 guests, the origin of the Styx River is not top-notch. If the host really has confidence, it's better not to go and collect too much. Big brother, big brother. Cough, this is not urgent. Tong Tian never expected that Mu Chen would directly send him to take Tai Ching as his disciple. The idea of accepting Tai Ching as a disciple has never been considered by Tong Tian. There's no way, Tai Ching is his elder brother, of the same generation. How to determine the seniority of accepting one's own elder brother as an apprentice? Realizing that this aspect was not directly related to Mu Chen, I suddenly had a sudden thought and started a new topic. Let's not talk about how many apprentices to take in for now. Just say, it took me so much time and I successfully received it. The foundation of the Styx River is quite impressive among the 3,000 guests, let alone in the entire wilderness. It is quite extraordinary. Can you tell me if my host has the ability? Is it the host's ability to determine? The host Mu Chen asked back, with a flat tone, but he always felt a sense of contempt as he listened to it all day. Why isn't it my ability anymore? Did I take the initiative to find the Styx River? If it weren't for my beautiful tongue and lotus flower, how could the Styx River have easily worshipped me? If that's the case, I will retrieve this Hunyuan Wutai Jing. I wonder if the host's tongue lotus can still succeed. Mu Chen's light and ethereal words immediately calmed the whole sky, and he dared not make any more noise. This move is really ruthless. P.S. Is there anyone else reading this book? If there are any, please kneel down and ask everyone to cast some flowers, give tips, give feedback, and leave comments. Thank you. Whenever there is a reward, it will explode at 10 tomorrow. Chapter 9. The Abyss of the Styx Proverbs. Holy. With this divine ability, you can fool around. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 9. The Abyss of the Styx Proverbs. Holy. With this divine ability, you can become a mixed Yuan. Through intuition, Tong Tian searches for his next disciple in the chaotic sea. Mu Chen occasionally chatted with him by his side. On the other hand, after receiving the Hunyuan 5 Thai scriptures from the heavenly transmission, the Styx River immediately activated the Chaos Sea. On his way back to the Sea of Blood, he also met 3,000 other customers. Those people saw the Styx River heading towards the direction of the flood and asked curiously. For these people's inquiries, Styx only said that he had a chance and needed to rush back to the Sea of Blood as soon as possible. He had no chance to listen to Hongjun's preaching. The saying of the Styx River is believed by some, but not by others. But ultimately, without the Styx River, they have an extra chance to listen to the teachings. Who knows how many people Hongjun will allow to listen to the Tao? How many years did the Styx River cultivate? They are careful, the Styx River is clear. But for Styx, he had a great opportunity and couldn't talk to outsiders anymore. The current strength of Tong Tian is not the strongest in the wilderness. Styx is afraid that if he tells the truth, it will lead to Tong Tian being besieged. In the chaotic sea, the Styx can only rely on its own speed to rush on its way, until it enters the chaos. Thinking that if he were to return to the Sea of Blood at his speed, it would take hundreds of years. Unable to wait to cultivate the Hunyuan Wutai Jing, the Styx River decided to self-destruct at the moment of entering chaos. The true body of the Styx has always been a sea of blood, which can be said to be immortal, and the Styx never dies. For the Styx River, the quickest way to return to the Sea of Blood is to directly destroy the physical body and then reunite a body in the Sea of Blood. The boundless Sea of Blood is located in a barren land in the flood east. The aura of resentment and evil is rampant here, and countless souls who died in several major wars gather here, swaying and swaying. I don't know what year it is tonight. From the constantly surging Sea of Blood, the Styx River regained its body and glanced at the soul wandering overseas. Without saying anything, it closed its eyes and crossed its knees in the air above the Sea of Blood, absorbing the spiritual energy and blood-evil energy mixed in the entire Sea of Blood. With enough spiritual realm and the blessing of this Sea of Blood, the Styx River can quickly recover to its previous peak realm. Once the realm stabilizes, the Styx River begins to examine the Hunyuan 5 Thai scriptures in the Sea of Consciousness and begins to comprehend them. The Hunyuan Wutai Jing is a Hongmeng-level divine power. To comprehend and cultivate such divine powers, practitioners need to possess great creativity, perseverance, and exceptional talent. At the moment of true enlightenment, Styx understood these things clearly. In his opinion, if he had spent hundreds or even thousands of years on energy consumption, it would have been enough to explore a little bit of this Hunyuan Wutai Jing. How did he know that this divine power was bestowed upon Tong Tian by the protagonist? Therefore, any disciple who becomes a disciple of Tong Tian's sect can easily cultivate this divine power through the transmission of martial arts from Tong Tian. It is much easier for Styx to comprehend the surface of this Hunyuan Wutai Jing than he thought. The Styx River, who was practicing with his eyes closed, did not see it when he began to comprehend the Hunyuan Wutai Jing. His soul, swaying at the edge of the Sea of Blood, stopped one after another, and then slowly shifted his gaze to the direction of the Styx River. At that moment, the confusion in the eyes of these souls seemed to dissipate a lot. They looked at the Styx River like this, motionless, and their expressions became more and more apparent as time passed. At the feet of these creatures, a blood-colored flower bloomed around the sea of blood, swaying without wind as the Styx River practiced. That red flower is still pointing towards the direction of the Styx River bit by bit, as if it is also practicing along with it. Countless visions emerge around the sea of blood in the Styx River. The surging sea of blood has calmed down at this moment, like a mirror. All of this is due to the inexplicable Tao rhyme that unconsciously emerged from the body of the Styx River when he was comprehending the Hunyuan Wutai Jing. That rhyme is different from the 3,000 avenues in the wilderness, far superior to these 3,000 avenues. All living beings, at the moment they feel this charm, can spontaneously feel the sublimation of their own understanding. In the process of cultivation, the Styx River is not clear about the changes in the outside world. He is wholeheartedly contemplating the Hunyuan Wutai Jing. Then, at some point, his primordial spirit suddenly moved, and he had a slight understanding of the originally obscure and difficult to understand Hunyuan Wutai Jing. It is precisely this understanding that the cultivation of the Styx River, which has not been touched for a long time, is like a barrier being silently broken. The sea of blood surged again, and endless spiritual energy and blood evil energy emerged from the sea of blood, merging into the body of the Styx River. The few white clouds that originally existed above the Styx River disappeared completely in this moment, turning into a clear sky for thousands of miles. Breakthrough is like drinking water, easily accomplished. Cross-legged on the sea of blood, the Styx River slowly opens its eyes. He first felt his own cultivation and found that his cultivation had broken through from the peak of the Duobao golden immortal to the early stage of becoming a quasi-saint. He was pleasantly surprised in his heart, and then he began to calculate the current time of the flood. He thought it would take hundreds of years no matter what, but he didn't expect that it would only take him about 10 years to cultivate until now. For the long years of the Styx River, such a short amount of time can be described as breaking with just a snap of a finger. Styx thought about everything he had now, all because of the Hunyuan Wutai Jing, and couldn't help but mutter in his heart. Amazing. It's really amazing. I didn't expect him to have such a day in the Styx River. With this divine power in hand, it is truly a testament to Hunyuan. Master is truly the embodiment of Yuanshi, who possesses such divine powers in his hands. Don't talk too much, don't nag too little. To be a teacher for a day and a father for a lifetime. He is a great disciple in this lifetime, the Styx River. Happy in the heart, thoughts constantly rise and fall in the heart. After recovering from this strange excitement, Styx finally suppressed his excitement and resumed his cultivation. Speaking of Tongtian's side. After decades of wandering, in this vast sea of chaos, he finally saw another 3,000 guests from the mortal world. Taoist friend, please stay. Without even thinking, Tong Tian immediately chased after him and shouted at the Taoist who was supposed to be ahead. Kuanpeng was searching for Zhixiao Palace in the chaos according to his intuition, when suddenly a voice sounded behind him. Turning around with a vigilant heart, what caught Kunming's eye was the ethereal appearance of Tong Tian. Tong Tian Dao Yu, I don't know what's bothering me. Kuanpeng was puzzled and asked Tong Tian for the reason to stop him. With the experience of collecting the Styx River earlier, Tong Tian's heart can be said to be full of confidence. I saw him speaking slowly under Kuanpeng's inquiry. Entering my door can prove mixed yuan. Hey. Don't leave. Before even the deceitful words could be spoken, Kuanpeng turned around and left all day long. Why is this different from the time of the Styx River? How could we give it a chance to speak up? Tong Tian was still hesitating whether to catch up, but the sound of Kuanpeng ahead entered his ears. How could the Upper Qing dynasty, one of the 3 queens of Pangu, be such a foolish person who dares to say anything big? I am still a Great Luo Jinxian, and I will speak up here to prove my true nature. But what is Hunyuan? Forget it, it's not important. Anyway, on the eve of this sage's preaching, running to this chaotic sea to recruit disciples is just a brain teaser. It's hard to say what kind of thug that was made up of. Truly, it's ridiculous. Kunpeng's cursed voice, from near to far, finally disappeared. The sound of Kunpeng leaving from the sky was bewildered. Chapter 10 Tong Tian. You're starting to look down on people a bit. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 10 Tong Tian. You look down on people a bit now. Chaos is rampant, encountering Kunpeng 3 times. Seeing the obstruction in the collection of disciples, Mu Chen immediately spoke up and went back with a strange aura. When searching for 3,000 customers before, Mu Chen listened too much to the comments of the heavenly Versailles. Now, as soon as Mu Chen saw Tong Tian being hit, he couldn't help but jump out. Anyway, with his strength, he couldn't find it in the entire wilderness, so Mu Chen naturally had no fear of communicating with Tong Tian. It's just a stupid bird that can't even see its own destiny clearly. Wait and see my next move, I'll come up with it effortlessly. The consequence of communicating too many times with Mu Chen is. Tong Tian still respects Mu Chen in his heart, but his mindset no longer sees him as a senior, but more like an unknown confidant and friend. I'll wait and see, host, come on. Mu Chen's tone was flat and he let out a puff of air, stirring up Tong Tian's originally uplifted emotions. Kunpeng's decision to leave without paying his respects and Mu Chen's encouragement left Tong Tian completely helpless. But there's no good way to go all the way, the only thing we can do is to find someone else again. Then successfully recruit the apprentice and prove it to Mu Chen. As for the Kunpeng, I don't even know how to evaluate it. He really didn't expect to be treated as a scammer or a fool even if he didn't succeed in accepting his apprenticeship. He is one of the 3 cleaners of Pangu. Before this, who dares to say these things? That Kunpeng still says he's stupid. I have no idea how much chance I missed. I hope Kunpeng knows about this in the future and doesn't regret it. Such a big chance. I missed it and still want to fight, but it's too late. As Tong Tian embarked on the path of searching for his disciples, Hai began to constantly indulge in the cakes that Mu Chen had drawn for him before. Even so, he thought of countless people in the future who wanted to worship him. The scene of waving your hand and refusing to let go. Seeing Tong Tian overthinking, Mu Chen couldn't help but speak out and strike. What beautiful thing are you thinking about? There is no such thing as day and night in this chaotic sea. The vast expanse is still clear and clear. Why did you just dream? Do you know how many paths still need to be taken to become the holy master of the heavens, not even a saint, starting to want to become a saint of the heavens? Step up to the sky, come faster. But it's just about thinking about things in the future, why are you just thinking about beautiful things? Furthermore, why don't I have to accept hundreds or even thousands of these 3,000 guests heading to Zixiao Palace? When the reward for completing the task is added to the Hunyuan Wutai Jing, I won't be able to preach Hunyuan yet. I don't believe it. Seeing Mu Chen's blow to him getting harder and harder, Tong Tian couldn't help but speak out. If he doesn't make a sound anymore, Mu Chen might be pointing at his nose and cursing. Accepting hundreds, thousands, and 3,000 customers. Mu Chen listened to Tong Tian's daydream speech and threw his back with a blank eye. What kind of daydream did he have? Do you know how many of these 3,000 guests are coming towards Hongjun? No matter how scum, Hongjun is also the first saint in this wilderness. And you? But you're just a de Luo Jin Xian. It's really difficult to recruit disciples among 3,000 guests with such a cultivation level. Don't think that people with 3,000 guests are as easy to deceive as the Styx River. Mu Chen discovered that since he successfully recruited the Styx River, he has been floating all over the sky. I don't know if it's because Tong Tian hasn't experienced so many things yet. At most, Tong Tian in this timeline is somewhat dissatisfied with his elder brother's control over him. The incident of Sanqing splitting the family did not occur. As the youngest among Sanqing, Tong Tian is usually taken care of by two older brothers. If not, Tong Tian wouldn't have had such a deep affection for his two brothers all the time. But this kind of temperament is not what Mu Chen needs. The road to becoming a saint of the heavens is long, and if Tong Tian walks with this mindset, the probability of failure is over 90%. Mu Chen has a great fondness for the leader of the Tong Tian sect in the wilderness. If possible, Mu Chen still doesn't want to switch hosts. So, after the Styx River left, Mu Chen continued to strike Tong Tian. Feeling the dissatisfaction of Tong Tian, Mu Chen thought for a moment and continued to remind him. Mu Chen was also afraid that Tong Tian would be hit too hard and would not recover again. I didn't expect you to achieve much. It would be great if you could accept 1 or 2 apprentices out of 3,000 guests in the future. As your strength improves, those who previously rejected you will naturally come back to you. What do you mean? You really look down on me as a host. Not to mention my background, it is the Hongmeng divine power you have bestowed upon me, and it is also an excellent means for me to recruit disciples. In the wilderness, how many people can withstand this temptation? Tong Tian was indignant, and only from his tone could one hear a hint of lack of confidence. Obviously, Tong Tian also took Mu Chen's words seriously and didn't want to admit it at this moment. Let's wait and see. After answering 4 simple words, Mu Chen calmed down and prepared to see how Tong Tian would deceive 3,000 guests. After muttering a few words, Tong Tian turned around and walked freely in this chaos, intending to recruit a few more disciples before Hongjun spoke. Shocked Mu Chen. Tong Tian thought to Mu Chen, but he didn't speak. If you can collect more, of course it's better to collect more. With more disciples from Tong Tian, he has gained more Hongmeng origins. Hongmeng has many origins, isn't this upgrade coming? In this way, Tong Tian walked in this chaotic sea for over 100 years before finally seeing the figure of Tao appearing ahead. Taoist friend, please stay. Kunpeng, who was walking ahead, heard an unusually familiar sound behind him, and his whole body suddenly stiffened. Just as he was about to leave quickly, he chased after him all day long. Seeing that the figure in front of me turned out to be Kunpeng, I smiled and began to deceive. It seems that you and I are very destined. How about entering our sect and practicing the mixed elements of enlightenment? No entry, no entry. Impatiently waving his hand, Kunpeng turned around and left. With the speed of Kunpeng and the top-notch innate spiritual treasure Beiming Palace, Kunpeng can quickly find the Purple Sky Palace. However, he thought it was all in chaos. If he didn't take a stroll and look for his own opportunities, he would always feel like he was at a loss. In order to seize the opportunity in his heart, Kunpeng marched through this chaos for a long time. The first time he saw Tong Tian, he only regarded it as bad luck, and didn't expect to see him again. Kunpeng, who was cursing and walking away, began to ponder in his heart whether he shouldn't stay too long in this chaos. Is there no chance for him to become a Kunpeng in the chaotic sea? He doesn't believe it. Kunpeng glided quickly, and in the blink of an eye, Kunpeng disappeared. Listening to the swearing sounds coming from the air, I didn't take a step up and chase after them. He still doesn't believe it. Is there only one Kunpeng in this entire chaotic sea? After a few seconds of silence, Tong Tian turned around and walked towards the direction away from Kunpeng. Result: another 100 years have passed, and Tong Tian looked at the Kunpeng approaching in front of him, numb. With the idea of not losing a single question, he spoke up all day, come under my door. Before Tong Tian could finish speaking, Kunpeng was nowhere to be seen. Even the previous rejection is gone now. Tisk, you're running quite fast. Roast, turn around and continue to walk in another direction.